do we do to make a difference? Is it that we are caused? Is there anything we can do so that we will not follow the same suit? I reserve my comment for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think maybe I'll just take the. I wanted to just write. I don't have a small book, so I just write. It's just a small one page. So just so I will not forget the question. Thank you. But just one page. Thank you. Thank you. So I just take the first one here. The question will be: having heard all this, what can we do? Or what should we do? Yes. Next one.
Thank you, sir. My own question is, having gone through the various causes of insecurity worldwide with Nigeria in focus, and observing the claims of world superpowers as regards them intervening in countries that is supposedly bedeviled within security. Of course, with neo-colonialism in mind. Will it be safe to conclude that these security aids and other forms of aids and the claims, the actions, the words of the superpowers, in quote, will it be safe to conclude that these are hypocritical stance from them? That's my question, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, okay.
Thank you once again. I remain my humble self, Atutu Patrick, representing Lagos State. The question I'm putting forward is, conflict, they say, cannot be eradicated because we have what they call self-conflict. And conflict that is not well managed results to insecurity. Now, as someone who is an expert in this field, how will you then teach us to manage self-conflict that may not metamorphose into general conflict, therefore insecurity? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. My name is Omar Philip, representing Yobe State. My question is closely related with the first question, even though my own is more specific to poverty. Based on your presentations, we have seen how poverty is linked to insecurity. So, what can we do as individuals, and then as a nation, and then as various institutions in this country, in order to tackle the issue of poverty? Thank you, sir.
Okay. I think we'll just take the last one now. Yeah, thank you.
Sir, looking at the paper you presented earlier on, from the scrabbling and petition of Africa, where the superpower sat in Germany during the time of Otto von Bismarck, to petition some of this Africa, I'm looking at it from the superpower ambition, to petition some of this African country to the superpower at then. Looking at the superpower's ambition up to today, we still find a situation whereby it still resonates, even though the insecurity we are seeing were some of the hands of this superpower. Because even if you look at some of the non-actor states that are now perpetuating their intention against those of superpower state, were once upon a time used by the superpower states. I'm precisely looking at Nigeria, my own country, where I belong, that I'm more concerned about. We have a situation whereby, at 1963, Nigeria is going to other African countries, the Congo crisis. Look at the Liberia, we look at the Sierra Leone, that we've played a vital role. When did we miss it as a country, whereby we are making sure that at the centerpiece of a Nigerian foreign policy, we make sure that other African countries are in peaceful, because what affects them, we have a domino effect on Nigeria. And at the same time, is it true, because having your knowledge, that Nigeria being surrounded by the superpower, as in by the francophone country, and looking at how OAU emerged, looking at how ECOWAS emerged, that the French still has an interest to make sure that Nigeria is not safe?
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Let me just begin from the first one and quickly go through. And then we'll look at the thing with what we're going to do now. As I was talking during the break with the chair, I'm happy that he has plans ahead for real capacity building on the ground in terms of what concrete things we need to do in building capacities, your capacities, to be able to engage concretely with issues. So it's not just somebody standing and talking, but you having the capacity to engage, to giving you the tools to engage. That's not today. Eventually, after this one. So I'm just letting you know. So, but the reality is that I'm happy also that the person who asked the first question what should we do after hearing this? What we are going to do here was a proposal which we connect with this, because of the fact that we do not have the time. One of the things that will come out from what he's planning is to help you see how to build a framework for engagement at the local level, whether in Benin State, in any state. You understand? So you carry the tools to facilitate those conversations there that will bring the people together, you connect with them, and then you can then engage based on a shared vision of how that society should be, and having a very concrete, look, one of the problems we have now is that we have a situation where we have candidates that want to be presidents, and they come up with their so-called plans. Yeah? How many of you have seen those plans? The one from Tinubu and Atiku and Kwankwaso. Okay. Now, if you look at those plans, you just shake your head for Nigeria, because the problem with those plans is the fact that if you give that plan to any of them, this is your plan, give it to him, he won't be able to speak confidently on what is in that document, because he was not part of the conversation that led to the discussion that brought that document. You understand? It was put together by some people. So yes. So he will not be committed to it. Because it's just to give some impression that we have something, we have a manifesto. It is just put aside. But if the person sits down with a team and builds it together, he'll be able to interpret what is there, the assumptions that make that document. He can implement it. But what is happening now is just a joke. So when the tools are given to you, you facilitate with the people that have a common vision of society, and then they'll be able to connect to implement those things that are within those documents. You understand? That's one of the fundamental things that need to happen. But talking immediately, we'll just give you some broad tips. But when you give you some broad tips, it is not to say now that you then go back and then unnecessarily sit down to the next work, the next planning, the program itself that was saying we're going to build capacities, people to engage. You should be able to begin to say, how do I relate what I just heard now? How do I relate it with the context in which I live? And you can begin to look at connections and looking at how you are going to network with others so that by the time you have the tools, it will be easier for you to just continue to build those tools with those people. So you don't have to stay. So there's power in the ability of one person to do so much. One person. As you say, okay, we need other people, yes, we need them. But you see, the first thoughts and the reflection that come from one person is so powerful that if their reflection goes very well, it can shift society. I'll give you an example. I sat down in this Jos here, and then I heard one day on radio that they are bringing Niger Delta militants here. We have Sherry Hills is one training place. Sherry Hills, where they train in the leadership courses and all that. When I heard the thing, I heard it on radio. Are you following me? Now, I took that information. Since these guys are coming to this church where I live, I'm going to influence that training. Me. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I got to know that one person who decides to move against the tide can do so much. I tell you, okay, this was when just before Yar'Adua died, the president Yar'Adua. Okay, the other time he just gave the amnesty program new. You understand? So that just then before he became sick, so they just okay, let's move these young people from their environment, carry them to Jos, Sierra Hills, carry some to Apapasi school to train them, carry some that then Boko Haram had not had advances like they have in Northeast. Carry some to the Goza training school, the police school in Goza. So when you move them from their environment, you can begin to impact them and discuss with them. So you can send them back to society. That was the pattern of integration that he took. Okay, so I made up my mind. I'm going to affect this program. Are you following what I'm saying? I'm giving you that example to know that what you can do something. You, by virtue of the fact that you have stepped in here, you can do something with what you have heard before we even build those capacities. Okay, so I went. I said, okay, on the Monday, I had this thing on the Thursday. On the Monday, I took my laptop. I drove. That's the road to Sherry Hills there. I drove there. I went to Sherry Hills. I said I want to see the commandant of this institute. They said they don't have a commandant. They have a DG. I said, okay, the person that you have, I want to see the person. That's the Oga. So it was a Monday. The man did not expect me. He did not expect. There's no appointment. So I was in here like this. The secretary, we were talking with the secretary. He was inside. So the woman, she asked me, you have an appointment? I said, I don't have. But I just want to discuss something very, very serious concerning a program that you're going to hold very soon. So she went in and told him, I've come here to see, one man says he wants to see, his name is Ben. The man just said, I don't have any appointment with this person. Who is that? Ben, I don't know. But if he wants to wait, let him wait. You understand? I waited, sat down. The guy really wasted my time. So I can really go and get annoyed. I refused to go. I sat down there. When I sat down there, then after about one hour plus, he said, okay, let him come in. I went in. Good days, I say yes. I introduced myself. I said I heard on radio that they are bringing Niger Delta militants here to retrain. He said, yes, that's true. I said, I have come because I have something I want to contribute to the discussion that will lead to their reframing of how they think. At that stage, do I have it? Nothing yet. Are you know what I'm saying? Nothing yet. But let me tell you, once you have an information, you're already having power. You know, information gives power. Capacities give power. So the man listened to me say, so So you say, where is, I said, where, I want to see the manual that you are using to train so that I can contribute and show you where I will bring a contribution. Yes. And the guy shocked me. That day I knew that we are not a serious country. No. This was a program going for many billion. No manual. None. None. So he said, no, we don't have. So I was confused. I was shocked. So he saw the shock in my head, in my mind. It's okay, since you are here, can you help us develop one? Develop one for us. Yes. I can show you. Are you following what I'm saying? So when he said that, you know what happened? Fear came over me. I said, me? He said, yes, you. So I just gathered myself. I said, okay. I took up the challenge. Are you following me? Well, I'm showing you that so you get to know that you have power. So I went back. When I was driving back, I said, how do I do this thing? What, you understand? Because you see, these things that have happened historically, we can learn from. I went to my laptop, connected with the internet. I Googled Liberia, Sierra Leone, all those places where they just reintegrated those young people. I read some of those manuals and those documents. I know the Nigerian context, so I just built some kind of program and a manual. Are you feeling what I'm saying? I went there. I took it there. Look, this manual, that manual made it possible for me to rock. Inside, I'm telling you, unplanned. Believe me. So that's what I got to know that this thing is powerful. Oh. This whole idea. Once you hear something, it depends on what you are going to do with it. It depends. I'm telling you, the ball is in your court. It's like a wheelbarrow. A wheelbarrow cannot push itself. A wheelbarrow, you put it here, it will be here. If you push it to this place, it will move to that place. If you stop, it will stop. That's the way we are. So if you hear something, you decide to use it. You will not know where it's going to stop. To shift the system. Now, let me tell you something. It is what I want that entered that manual. You understand what I'm saying? So you can begin to move society away from a way of thinking. It is what I put in there. Are you following what I'm saying? Okay. Well, meetings. Different people I met with. That data ministry. Different people. But let me tell you what happened. What happened? That we stopped at the point. Just when he died. They called me to say, okay, can you add 500 million in this budget? Yes. Yes. I said, for who? What is for what? They said, what are you doing? You're looking surprised? Yes, sir. 500 million. For what? He said, is it against your ethics? I said, yes. He said, against my ethics. How would I do that? I said, look, this project is big enough to accommodate everybody. We don't have to. Nothing meant to happen. When I will give all settlements, from my own package. It's big. We're looking at billions. I'm telling you. So no need to ask. They said no, they don't want that kind of thing. They don't want that. If you are not sure, go and think about it. Go and think about it. Go and think about it. So I got my intro car, drove to Jos. As I was coming as I got to Jos, my car began to have problems. My car, I'm telling you, no, honestly, I was talking about practically. My car began to have problems. So something was telling me that, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why not just is it not to type 500? What are you doing? Look at what your car is smoking. I struggled. I asked many people to support me. At least what I'm passing. Eventually, we decided to leave it. Not to go ahead. We left it. But we left it when good luck came. It was in here. They called me one day, like one of those days. Can you come? I said, yes. We started again. Then they began. What they tried to do now was to say, let's remove this foolish guy. Because I put one foreign partner, one guy who was an architect in a lecturer in the University of Jos. He went to Canada in Alberta. He went to the University Alberta there. We went to teach. How come Alberta? These guys have oil. They're not fighting over it. The young people are enjoying. What happened? So he entered the program. They call it OSAT program, Oil Skill Acquisition and Training. So he learned it. Okay, so he told me, so we then partnered. That's the program that we were bringing to connect with them. That OSAT program. Now, so when they then say, okay, they discovered that there's a sparring partner there. Yeah? Good luck came, the people who were discussing now. They try now to exclude me by contacting the number on this, that was on that proposal. But unfortunately, that guy had died. It was his wife, the wife that picked, that called. So she called me. Look at what's happening. I said, don't mind them, don't mind them. Don't mind them. So eventually those things, they didn't move forward. The essence of going all around there is just to tell you that you have power in your hands also. You are not as helpless as you think. I can give you many cases like that. Just show up. Are you following me? With what is inside of you now. Show up. You see, one mistake we make is, okay, I need to get to one place of expertise. And then they'll call me a consultant, an expert. No. I'll give you a second example, then I'll just go on to the next question. The second example was this. I went to a workshop like this here in Jos. Rukon is one NGO in Jos. I sat down, they talk about conflict transformation. This was when Niger Delta was no-go area. It was the boiling place. 1998. You just killed Kensa Riwa. Not too long. So we're getting to time of Obasanjo. So I then when I attended, I heard conflict transformation and then how community development projects can be used to bring about peace. I said, this is very interesting. Now, when I finished that program, the day we finished, I just look at the Guardian newspaper, then they advertised that they wanted some submissions on the International Conference on the Niger Delta. Are you following me? Practical solutions. Just sent 2 pages. So you know what I did? I came back to that note that facilitator delivered and picked from there and then I sent it to Port Harcourt. Yeah? When you think, so after about 2 weeks, I got to DHL. That can you develop this thing further and come and present this in Port Harcourt? I said, is that how this thing works? I'm telling you, that's the truth. Why am I giving it? Because if once you hear it, you have power over those who have not heard. Yes. I took it. I'm so-called expert. No, I don't have to be like that at that point. I'm building capacity. Capacities cannot be ended. So I took this what I heard, and then I expanded it. I came back again to that same note. I opened more pages and copied some things from there. And I sent it to Port Harcourt again. I got to that international conference. When I got there, if I look, I took my bag like this, one small bag. When I got to I entered the taxi, they took me from the airport, got to the hotel. When I saw the hotel, in me I was afraid. I was afraid because of what I saw. I said, my God, this is only here. I began to lose my confidence. So the taximan said, okay, this is the place now. Calm down. Calm down. I said, are you sure? He said, this is the place. So I go down quietly. And I walked to the reception with fear in my heart. So I was walking quietly like this. Then I got there. So many people, because they brought in different people from outside Nigeria, everywhere. They're looking for solutions. So I then presented my letter and all that. Immediately I did, they just see resource person. They began to run around. I see you. Me. I'm telling you. So that is how it works. Went from there. They gave me a room. I sat down in the bed. I said, I can't believe what's going on. Just like that. The one that surprised me, the next day, the conference held. There's one Professor Tekina Tamuno was the first VC of the University of Ibadan. He has died now. He was the session moderator. They announced that, okay, I was going to present, among other people. My presentation was before the break, tea break. I came and mounted the stage. I read from a borrowed and copied note. No, it's true. A borrowed and copied note that I was just engaging with, Then the entire hall was so silent, so quiet, because they've never heard it. So I said that once you have an information, you have power over those who have never heard, many people. So they were very quiet. So when I finished, they said, any question from any audience? Silence. Just one question, a cheap one, that just made me shine more. So they asked me, so I answered. But before they answered that, before they asked those questions, I said, instead of I said, God, I don't know this thing yet. I know. Now I'm telling you, I want to be very frank. I'm not, but I need help. Immediately I said that one person asked question, I answered. Then I went and sat down. Then they came immediately after the break. Many people came and asked me, "Come, which country are you from?" I said, "Country. I'm from Jos." So they said, "Okay, give us your card." I said, "A card? I don't get a card." I mean, I'm just giving you. Look, you have power, and together you can shift boundaries. Yes. So we say the next one was the hypocrisy of the superpowers. Yes, they are very, very hypocritical. That's true. There's no doubt about that. Honestly, I work with a UK-based organization, and one of the things I noticed in all their conversations, they never criticize their people, their country, our staff, our international staff UK. You cannot get them to say bad thing about like that. No. Yes, and so that's the difference between them and us. Because we are when we discover webinar, we begin to cut Nigeria, cut here. They'll be watching us. They never. So I began to wonder, so these guys have a way they operate also, that we need to also learn from. You see what I'm saying? It's not as if we will not draw attention to issues, but there's a way that we also do it. That's so, like, it looks so, it's not, but they are very hypocritical. And that's very true. But as much as possible, we agree that they are, yes, so the ball is in our court to deliver what we want to see in our country. It's not really on them. No matter how Nigeria shouts, they will not come and intervene. No, they will not. I'm telling you, they will never intervene. When NSAS happened, people thought they were going to intervene. Did they intervene? No. They just watch you from the sideline. So the ball is in our court to intervene, and to intervene well, in a way with wisdom. How can we manage self-conflict? Self-conflict means what, sir? I don't understand that very well, so I can be able to. Yes, yes. Okay, maybe we might have to part of the capacity building thing that he is planning to build sessions and components of what to look at practical things of dealing with things like that. Because from my own advocacy point of view, when we come to this point of this capacity building, my own is to teach how those concrete frameworks you can facilitate and develop. But there are some people who can reflect and teach these issues about conflict, self-conflict, conflict transformation, and issues like that. You understand what I'm saying? So maybe we'll just put down KIV it and wait and see. When that time comes, we'll get somebody to look at issues like that and see those connections that they can make. That's my own way of looking at it. Yeah, so there's one on Takulis. Yeah. There's one still on the why, how we can tackle poverty, right? Poverty. Yeah, so we'll touch on that, now, and look at other issues, we'll touch on that and see, and then look at, you know. Now, you discussed about the fact that where we missed it. I think the reality is the fact that Nigeria missed it at two levels. We missed it, first of all, at the level of the conversations historically that gave birth to Nigeria. What is the Nigerian vision? What is it? What is the Nigerian vision of society? We don't have. You know, if you have a small child like this, when you can tell about the American dream, a small baby, yes. But what is the Nigerian vision? What is the Nigerian that people grow up with? And this is, Ghanaians are more committed to their country. You know why? Because Nkrumah built those concepts right into the Ghanaian, and they carried it historically among their families, transmitted to generations. You understand? But Nigeria does not have that. Nigeria had conversations from three leaders who were actually at each other's throat. The regions. And so there is a lot of regional things around that. So even when the regions were created, it worked very well. And that's why people are calling, why not look at the regions again? Because they deliver the results. The regions deliver the results. And people deliver results according to their pace of how they wanted to go and the emphasis they are making. So I believe that we missed it at the level of history. Yesterday they just put back history in our curriculum again because they removed it. They made a mistake. You cannot develop without history. You understand? The Nigerians, we have a funny way. We have some experts who come and tell us that, okay, we just need STEM, science, technology, mathematics, and all that. But it is hard to be anchored on culture and history. For it to go, society cannot develop outside of its history and culture. From there, certain things arise. So, from the level of history, we missed it. From the level of when the Nigerian state got independence and moved on, and we began to play regionally and had this, it just. But finally, for me, I believe that when the military came into this thing, the space, they brought in so much garbage also. The military regimes, that it was a mess completely, which is what we are also seeing, even in politics. All people, a political person will tell you about loyalty. You're not loyal to me. That's the military language. So things like that. So, at the level of our history of how we emerge as a nation, how the fact that the nation, the people who were there, leaders, did not quite define the kind of Nigerian nation that they wanted to see, and how generations we key into it. It was not defined. Thank you. So if you permit me, I'll just go further. Just permit so that I will not take so much time. Let's look quickly at the second slide on the outline. Second slide on the outline. Second slide, no, not this one. This one, okay, that's the first one. Okay, we are taking this code before. I like it because of the fact that we need to put on new thinking and approaches of doing things. Next slide. Next slide. Go. Are we looking at the same thing? No. No. This one. this. What is going on? Yeah? No, this is not the thing now. The slide, advocacy for peace building and social justice. Did that copy the wrong one for you? Okay, go ahead. Let's check the next slide. Let's see. Next slide. This is it. So the outline is, we want to just quickly unpack poverty as a concept, inequality, advocacy, peace building, and social justice. Those concepts. We need to know which concepts we are grappling with, and then we looked at that. They will look at Nigeria and as a country that it will get a status of a broken nation. Yeah? Our status as a broken nation. How are we broken? We don't look at, in looking at that brokenness of Nigeria, we want to look at two things. We want to do a reflection on multidimensional poverty again and relate it to the next discussion on what we call between demographic dividend and demographic bomb. Between demographic dividend and demographic disaster or bomb. We'll see what that means. Then we look at advocacy for social justice. We look at advocacy as combat, just as you know, if I put combat. Advocacy as combat. And take a look at a case study of the NSAS movement. What some of the principles that you can see. They will look at advocacy for social justice has influence. Are you following me? Has the influence of people and not a combative approach. You understand what I'm saying? Advocacy can you use a combative approach, there are also consequences. You use an influence approach, you are able to shift the system. We'll look at one youth group and what they did to as far as their desire to bring about electricity, renewable energy here in Jos, here in Tudunwada community. They'll look at some strategies and activities for delivering a social justice, a social agenda for Nigeria. Just look at some broad strategies, and then we'll look at an outline that just puts the path for what we're going to do by God's grace when we meet again. Concretely, the framework for delivering a social agenda for Nigeria. Framework. Yeah, so we'll look at that. Now, I think we'll go here now. The next slide, please. Let's look at the concept of poverty. As the first concept. Poverty. Now, somebody says he clustered poverty into, has 5 clusters. That poverty is powerlessness. There's one cluster there. People who are poor are powerless. They have isolation. Isolated, they're isolated. They are poor, you're isolated. Poverty. They're vulnerable. They talk about vulnerability. And then poverty, and then physical weakness as main things that combine in this definition to cause to be poverty. So let's try to unpack these things. Let's unpack them now. Poverty as lack of access. Yeah? We're looking at this one. To unpack, open this one up. Poverty as lack of access. Lack of assets. You have no land or small land, little house, no flock, few or not, all family members work unless they are too young, or old or sick. They have to work because they have to live to be able to live. That is poverty. It's not correct. So you have physical weakness, which is that next cluster. Adults being unable to work due to illness or disability or migration of active adults from the community. You have isolation, household is remote or they're on the edge of the community, or they lack access to markets or information. You have vulnerability, household becomes poorer through having to deal with unforeseen circumstances, such as crop failure, accidents, sickness, funerals, or flooding, just as we have all across Nigeria. Vulnerability is so high that the Nigerian federal government knows that these people a lot of Nigerians are vulnerable. The communities they live are just. But 2010 happened, we kept quiet, and it happened again this year, and people are crying. It's very funny because you know that this thing, the level of vulnerability is high across these communities because of so and so thing. But nothing was done. Of course, you're going to have repeated, and it will happen again. Unfortunately, if nothing is done, powerlessness, weak negotiating position, with those in control. You know, farmers. For example, vegetable farmers in Jos, in Plateau State, where they produce vegetables, they are powerless, and that's why they are poor. They have very weak capacity to negotiate prices. I'm telling you. So there's a vegetable market in town. On Tuesdays, people get vegetable. If you go there in the evening, sometimes people work on their vulnerability and weakness and powerlessness. Women, sorry, who goes to market, they don't usually go in the morning. You know why? Yeah? To buy, yeah? Exactly. They go in the evening. When the farmer, you have to sell it, or it will spoil. I'm telling you, that's what's happening here. That is poverty and powerlessness. That's powerlessness. That makes them poor. They can't negotiate prices, so they'll sell a whole lot of their products for just 200 naira. You see, in the morning it will be something higher, but you go to the next day, if I don't sell it, I'm going back to the village. You understand? That is because the system is unjust. The system has not created a situation where the farmers can benefit and have access and the power to be able to access. Let me tell you, how many of us live in Jos? How many of us live in Jos? Now, some time ago we heard that ShopRite is coming to town. ShopRite, right? And people were clapping, right? ShopRite, come, ShopRite, come, ShopRite, come. ShopRite was laughing at us. You know why? ShopRite was not coming to sell those goods that they're selling. That's not the attraction here on the plateau. ShopRite was coming because of the vegetables that are on the plateau. Why do I know that? Because we had worked with ShopRite in organization where we support through vegetables. And so they've been looking, and they work with cooperative farmers. You understand? So that the suppliers can, and they have the power of negotiation over the farmer. You understand? So we quickly rushed to Plateau State government. Say, Plateau State government, you are excited, giving ShopRite one place to stay to put their shop. To sell those consumer goods. That's not the attraction. The attraction is the massive vegetables that they'll get at cheap prices. And all across Nigeria, you suddenly open massive business for them through those vegetable chains. So you need to protect the farmer. Are you following what I'm saying? Put systems in place. Let us show you how to protect these farmers so you can have power. They can have negotiating power. You understand? But of course, the back and forth discussion, we did not go too far. We did not see the project. The ShopRite did not come. We did not know what's happening. We just were watching and seeing. But I know that the system has not been put in place yet. So they are powerless to negotiate. Now, if we move from that poverty definition to inequality or social inequality. Social inequality, next slide, just looks at, next slide, yeah. Inequality is simply the existence of unequal opportunities. Hello? Yes. Unequal opportunities, two things. Unequal opportunities and unequal rewards. Yeah? For different within the society. So we have unequal reward, unequal opportunities. So that presses people down. We are following. So, and one of the fundamental measure of that is income. Do you know that I wanted to put up the study that was done? That's Oxfam. Oxfam is an NGO. Oxfam did a study. If you just type Oxfam inequality in Nigeria, the drivers. Are you following what I'm saying? Inequality in Nigeria, the drivers. You will weep for this nation because they took concrete and showed concretely inequality in Nigeria, the drivers of it, the drivers of inequality. They took Dangote's earnings and showed that with this Dangote's earnings, the number of times, and the number of years it will take when you compare it with Nigeria, for him with a poor person like that, you understand what I'm saying? Now, they took the salaries of civil servants, the National Assembly, And then they dissected it to show that Nigeria is a very unequal society. Terrible thing. I challenge you to look at that document. It's online. It's not something that you can access it. Inequality in Nigeria. They took different society, different things, and you can see what, in fact, sometimes I wonder, because there's real work to do as advocates, because we have, when there's inequality, which means poverty, there are going to be conflict. It's not something you can begin to dream about. Okay, no. There are those linkages. You understand? So it is very clear. Now, let's look at advocacy. I'm moving fast because of the time. Advocacy. Advocacy is a process of influencing key decision makers and opinion formers for changes to policies and practices that we work on poor people's behalf. Hello? I just want to use one. No matter the definition you use of advocacy, it has three key things. Number one is what? Is influence. Yeah? Number two is what? No, yes, that's part. No. For this definition, for that definition, no, go back to that definition. Number one is influence. You influence who? Decision makers, the duty holders, the power people who have power, the target of our advocacy, power brokers who can shift things. Number two is what? Is what? Is what? Exactly. One is influencing people. Two, the policies of a country, of society, of a state, or a local government must change. And the practices must change. Because of what? For who? Who are the? Yes. They are the center and the core of our advocacy engagements. The poor. I'm telling you, if you are a Christian, and I know that, I assume that it will be the same thing for Muslims also. There's no way you can read the Bible as a Christian. There are a group of books that are called, there are 12 of them, the books of the minor prophets. Are you following me? Now, those books, there are two things you cannot escape. No matter how you read them, if you close your eye here, you must engage them. One is God's hatred for idolatry. When you worship idol. Idolatry, I'm not talking about necessarily statue. Idolatry of the pursuit of money, possession, power. Are you following what I'm saying? So you become your idol. When society have that kind of pursuit of idolatry like that, it will be very unjust. So God's hatred for idolatry and injustice, because of the poor in the land. Say, look at the poor in the land. The poor is so key at the center of engagements, because God hates injustice. Are you following what I'm saying? So the advocacy action should not be for ourselves. But I hear some people look at that. We're going to advocate for ourselves. You can't advocate for yourself. No. Advocacy is to shift things on behalf of those who are at the base of society, the low, vulnerable. The society will be good for common good and all that. So no matter the definition, Oxfam or any other thing you use, it's the same concept. Three things: shift in influence, shift in policies and practices, and then the poor as the centerpiece. Peace building. The next one. Peace building. The next one. An activity that aims to resolve injustice. Hello. In non-violent ways, and to transform the cultural and structural conditions that generate deadly or destructive conflict. Now, that's why when you came here, Isha did not hand you over, give you a AK-47. Is that what he did? No, he won't do that, because he's talking about advocacy for what? For peace building. Peace building is addressing issues of injustice in non-violent ways. To transform what? The cultural, structural conditions that generate deadly or destructive conflict. It moves around, it revolves around developing constructive personal group and political relationships. Constructive engagements. You're following? Look, there is what we call the OGP, Open Government Partnership. Hello? Open Government Partnership is a partnership that brings together government, private sector, civil society groups to look at open government. How can government be open and transparent and accountable and address issues like that? Now, so what's going on? So what we decided to do in Justice, Plateau State signed up to the Open Government Partnership. It is not a local, it is Plateau State and Kaduna State are the only governments that signed up to it. And AMAC, Abuja Federal FCT, they're the only ones that were admitted into it. Now, so we then ask ourselves, how can we get young people to be part of this process, to engage this open government partnership process? So connected with them, young people at Plateau State, a particular group is for young people are there who they've created a toolkit. I think they're going to launch it on its feast, so that you have constructive engagement to determine. I think on the 2nd of December, where there's going to be a dialogue, OGP dialogue with the governorship aspirants at the PRTV the studio, to look at these issues. Transparency, accountability, and there's about 5 key issues. How can you build a plateau or society like that can be so transparent in systems, there can be accountability and all the other things. So see how young people are imputed into that constructively. So the process involves non-violence, addressing non-violence, management of conflict and transformation and post-conflict reconciliation and all that, trauma healing, all the other things. Now the last thing, concept, social justice. Social justice refers to a fair and equitable distribution of resources. If you notice here, it did not say that the concept of social justice it's anchored on equity, not equality. What's going on? Equity is that thing around the fact that is this thing fair that is delivered to this person? Are you following? It has to do a lot with law and the whole idea of if somebody these communities, what can be an equitable way of education that can enable their children to go further. So when you want to spend money in education, you look at how can we equitably spend money in such a way that we don't discriminate between spending money for those who are in richer areas and then we push something small for those who are not there. So there has to be equity distribution, opportunity, and so you have equity and fairness in distribution of opportunities and resources and privileges in society. Originally, it was a religious concept, but it has come to be conceptualized more as a just organization of social institutions that deliver access to economic benefits. Now, let me leave those ones now. Now, I showed this one before because we keep coming back to it because it's so key to our understanding the challenges we are having in our country and the relationship between poverty, inequality, and I think there should be a nexus. Good. There should be what? Not next one. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Good. Oh, this you call the color, but let me just show you what's happening. This is what we call a fourfold nexus. Connection. At the center here, you have conflict. Eh? Are you following? These 4 things here, this one here, the top one there, is poverty here. Poverty. The second one there is inequality. Hello? Poverty, inequality. The third one is unemployment. And this one here, you have drugs. hard drugs. So you will discover that within our societies, whether it's in town like this or wherever, that you see an interplay of this nexus, these connections, that is driving certain things that we are seeing. Yeah? If people go to school, they don't have jobs. Now, not that the jobs are not there, and the jobs are in some of the ministries are there, but you create a system whereby you cannot get it unless you are somebody in government who is big. You understand what I'm saying? Or you have to purchase it. That is an unjust system. And those creates frustrations and inequality and an unjust society, and it's not difficult to understand why you must have conflict. Because those connections are there. So hello, move on to the next one. Next one. Next thing. Okay, good. Now, I mentioned something around the fact that you have massive poverty, inequality, you have unemployment, and you have this challenge of drug challenge. Now, if you look at our society, the major poverty in Nigeria is a youth and child phenomenon. Are you following what I'm saying? Youth and child phenomenon. Now, the youth who are at the level of their energies and the level of societies where they're supposed to be productive, they are hampered because of poverty, and society is unequal, and so you are going to begin to have challenges. It is not difficult to see why they are the foot soldiers of crisis. Now, this thing, if you look at Nigeria's population from 1960, in 1960, Nigeria was 45 million people. I want to leave the point. 1960, independence. 10 years after, in 1970, Nigeria's population came to 56 million. 56 million. Yeah. Are you following? Now, let's do 1980, 10 years after again. In 1980, next slide. In 1980, Nigeria's population was 73 million. 0.7. I will leave this point. 1990, it was 95.62 million. In 2000, Nigeria's population was 122 million. In 2010, 10 years after, we were 159 million. In 2022, another 10 years, right? 12 years, I just said about. We came to 216 million. We became the 6th largest population globally. Hello? Now, our population grows at 2.7%, as we said before. Now, if you look at the structure of our population, you discover that everything that has to do with unemployment, poverty, inequality, and all that lies within the active range, which is the youth and children. If you look at that document on multidimensional poverty, you'll see some very alarming things there. See, in every society, historically, there is a window of an age where all the energies and the capacities and innovations that can move a society, God in His mercy puts it upon a particular age range. And that range is the youth population. I'm telling you, just look at history. Look at innovations globally. For that, whatever you call today, it was the young people, whether it's Twitter, whether it's call it anything, I'll tell you who are behind it. Are you following what I'm saying? Because there's a range of age. Now, but you have in Nigeria, this particular age range is hampered and it is kept and unable to deliver a society that works, what you expect is that those energies will then be turned to something else. And of course, you are going to see conflict. Hello? So those are the kind of things that we have in our country. And to go next one. And so, it is not that so surprising. Go next one. It is not therefore surprising that we had something like this. Hello? Where it began from this frustration with police brutality, but of course widened to the whole thing around the governance itself. Are you following what I'm saying? It's not surprising because it is just building up. And unfortunately, it has not ended. It has not ended because it's just been postponed to the future. And that's why you guys are strategic in imagining to look at society differently. Now, when we look at the approach that was used here, it's a movement that emerged spontaneously. In other words, it was not like we sat down and then we planned that we're going to do this kind of thing. You understand? So when it was emerging, and it began to have some kind of major voices. Hello? Now, those major voices, they're supposed to have spoken to one another. Are you following me? In speaking to one another, okay, let us create the kind of framework that directs this thing, you understand? Rather than leaving it to go the way it will go, like that anyhow. Are you following what I'm saying? So, for a long time, people were asking, what is the agenda? There was no agenda. It was in the last final days that they came up with the 5 agenda. The 5s. Are you in this country? Or you're somewhere else? Some people are looking at me very far. As if I'm very, very far away from here. So, I'm saying that without an agenda, it will be difficult to pursue something that will be constructive and deliver something. So, they did well and tried to raise the issues. But you could not sit down there for the crystallization of an agenda that, you see, before Nigeria's independence, hello, there was a youth group that emerged called what? Who knows? Exactly. Thank you. Who said that? Yes. The Nigerian youth movement emerged, made of students who looked at their society and said, our fathers and mothers, they've accepted this thing of colonialism and slavery. We will not accept it. Based on what we have seen and read in school, we will not agree. So they came together and said, let us create something that will galvanize the Nigerian people to move in a particular direction to ask for the independence. And what happened? It succeeded. It succeeded. So that's a core lessons we learn from our history for young people. Now, unfortunately for us, this one, it came up, that's why the history is very important. History, right? Thank God they put it back yesterday in curriculum. Because history did not understand, okay, these guys who led this one, yes, us. When we're doing this thing, are we the first to do it? No. Are we the first movement in Nigeria? No. We're a movement that birthed the independence, joined the fathers, and those labor movements and others, and we brought independence. So can we think of how to go about it? So that even at the point when the government itself seemed to have buckled a little bit, because they were wondering, how do we deal with this thing? Then they began to make some concessions. Even at those points, unfortunately, they couldn't see it again. So it was just like an overdrive. You couldn't see the concessions that were coming. Okay, how can we climb up these concessions for now and use it to ride and engage further? Because you are fighting for societal change. It's not an event. It goes ahead. It goes. People have done what's the name now? Have pursued issues for about 30 years, 40 years before they see it. How many years did Mandela pursue this thing about Mandela? It was a long time. So changes happen like that. Some happen fast. For some societal changes like that, or the magnitude we are looking at, it takes time. And it's a marathon. It's not a dash. It's a marathon. Are you following me? There was one guy who they call him Satyati. He's an Indian guy. He began to he looked at child labor in India. Child labor. He said, no, this is not correct. It's not correct. I'm taking it up. He's an engineer. He left practice. They say you are crazy. You're wasting your time. So, to draw attention to child labor. He drew attention for child labor in India for 30 years. 30. Are you following me? Before, globally, they gave him a Nobel Prize some years ago. He won it because of his work, 30 years. And so much happened that he did with others. So I'm saying that when the concessions are given by those who have power, ride on those concessions for the time being and put some kind of time frame to move our heads. Don't say that, no, we don't agree. We don't agree. Unless we draw this line like this today, it will not happen. That's you're going to lose it. Because you're going to lose sympathy. Are you following me? You're going to lose sympathy. And unfortunately, I like ASU. I like ASU. I like MIBA. I like ASU. But sometimes they get to positions when they also hold on too tightly. It's okay. How can we now release this thing a little bit so that we can then, re-engage again? That you just stay on this one or no movement. That's what's going to cause. It's just going to move because we are dealing with a group of very, very an elite group that is so crafty, so greedy, that in the afternoon like that, you see them as if they are quarreling. In the night, they are shaking their hands and don't mind them, these people. That's what is happening. But we are killing ourselves for them. But they are together. They are drinking from the same brook, from the same water source. I'm telling you. So if we then not understand that we need to follow them well, you think that they are with us in our life, they're not with you. No, so I'm just looking at tactics and how we can look at things and how to engage. Yeah? So this approach of advocacy has combat. Are you following me? Next slide. Advocacy has combat that NSAS took. What were the implications? The implications that people died. The numbers are available here. People died. We lost them. In fact, up to now, we don't even know the number of people that died. We cannot tell how many were killed and that on the 20th of October and thrown into the river, that Atlantic. We don't know. That's how sad it is, painful. Now, so this is advocacy as combat. Within the context of a very wicked elite group, they are ready to unleash the military that is in their control to attack us. Are you following what I'm saying? So we then ask ourselves, how then can we proceed? Then we need to adopt another approach. Are we saying that we cannot enter mass gathering on the streets in Nigeria or in UK? You know, in UK and US, those things are easier. People can sit, all of us, okay, well, sign signature. Give carry everywhere, and then take it to the parliament. They'll listen to you. But here, what happens? Will you get there? You can't get there. Later. I can answer. They'll just hear it and give you. Nonsense. It doesn't shift the boundaries. So since we know the peculiarity of our context, you find out how can we now enter those spaces without combat. Now, let me show you one approach that we got some people to use. No, but okay, next slide. Now, just to show, I showed you this is the material cost of NSAS. The Lagos Business School estimated 700 billion naira loss in 12 days. Estimated, though. It will be more than this. Lagos Business School. They did the mathematics and came up with this number. That's the material law. We don't talk about the human loss that we saw there, which we don't even know the amount of people, the people who died, the number. Now, so it comes with that kind of cost. Now, but advocacy has influence. Advocacy has influence. Hello? Advocacy has influence rather than combat. The influence approach looks at advocacy. How do I influence this state to pursue this particular path? Now, these young people, we got them together. So, okay, look, you know what? Since we know now that these guys are in charge of the security forces and they can shoot you, we don't want any of you to die, but we want to use, let's use another approach to enter the system. What happened? They said, okay, we wanted to let the state adopt the concept of stand-alone renewable energy. The house can be powered. Are you following me? So you have a vision of Tudunwada community where you have renewable energy being used in the houses. Are you following me? How do we get the state and the policymakers to buy into this? That was the idea. So as we are going to see, every advocacy engagement has a vision. You must have a vision. What is the alternative vision of this decay that you are seeing? What is it? And how do we reverse it? Now, so it's okay. This part of Tudunwada does not usually have light. They have energy poverty, no light. How can we get them light? Not to use NEPA, but to use something that will stay through renewable energy. And how do we get it across to them and all that? How can we link it to jobs for the young people? So we train these guys now, those young people. And what they did, this group, what they did was this. They went, young people are very innovative. Yeah? Innovations, right? You guys are innovative. Now, so they began to work on converting electronic waste that is past its shelf life, something that is spoiled, right? To convert to gather electronic waste, which is also a problem for Nigeria itself. To gather electronic waste, went to the market in Dilimi and went everywhere, bought the pin and gather anyone you have, resistors, give us. Really. And then they built systems, resistors, built inverters, built all the components, charge, controllers, built all those things that. Sorry, let me just go this way. So let's take it one by one. I jumped one step. The step is this: what was the model they used to get the government to recognize them and to follow them? And today, as far as environment and renewable energy is concerned, if you go to Plateau State government with the PMIDO, it's the agency of government that is in charge of the ministries. You come with an environmental product, they say, go to this place, these young people, these people here. To the extent that the National Council on Power is the council that has all the commissioners of power, energy within states. They had a meeting in Jos. When they came here with Fashola then as minister, one of the young people, the leader of this group, was constituted as part of the state government team to be part of the standing committee on Jos renewable energy group. Can you imagine that? That cannot, no, honestly, you cannot come by carrying placard. We must no. It's on have an understanding how society work, and how you can use that. Now, so let's look at the model that we use and we'll touch them. See, next slide. Good. The model is just 3 simple steps. Number 1, there's something that we call to prefigure here means to develop a model of something that works to deliver something that addresses a problem in the society. Are you following me? A model. So they came up, okay, how can we get light to this Tudunwada community, this particular part that doesn't have light? How can we get it to them? What model can we develop? So it was in that discussion that within the young people, nobody told them, within the young people, they came up with the concept of, if you have laptop or anything, resistor, this thing is spoiled in your house, bring it to us. And other things that have resistors inside. They used it to build these systems that can produce electricity. I'll show you this thing. Now, when they had their models ready, Eh? They then took the government staff, come and see something that we have, and have a conversation. The government went, the people went there. When they went there was a conversation on policy issues that can support projects like this to emerge in the state for urban communities that do not have light. Are you following me? So government was beginning to listen to them because these people, they have capacity to do something that we don't have. That cannot come by combat. It comes by that understanding. So they provided, we have, I said, technical capacities give power. Knowledge that you have now sitting down there has power. You understand what I'm saying? So power comes in different levels. Now, so this step was, after this one, they brought the Moses thing worked, they lighted. So government, okay, you launch it for us, launch it, they launch it. Now, and we're going to work on a policy for the state. Do they have all the capacity to do the policy for the state on e-waste inventory and policy for Plateau State? No, you don't have to have all the policies. That's why you draw partnerships and allies in advocacy work. Allies to shift something, to push. Because remember, we talk about, if you want change to be institutionalized, there must be policies that is attached to it. A guideline for how the thing should work. If a society will work, there must be guidelines and policies that are in place. Now, so we are saying that. Next slide. So in practical terms, they prefigured all these spoiled things. We're going to work on them. Are you following me? Work on them. Prefigured, create a model for us. They worked on the process with the models. They continue the work. And then they build the systems. The only thing that they could not build was the solar panel, because that had to be imported from India. They don't have the technology to do it. Now, and then they then looked at those houses and installed in those houses. Installed the systems in the houses. Because to demonstrate that this is the path to go, you can do this, you can shift here. So when they installed, and we have light. Now that an attraction took the government there, and the government went there, and there were those conversations that took place. So that's an influence approach. Now, an influence approach which you have capacity, when we build your capacity by God's grace, you will then be able to adopt that together with others that you have trained to influence systems, to influence and engage and bring about what you intend. And that's why I said that it is that manual, it was what I wanted. There was in that Niger Delta manual. Are you following me? Yes. NESRIA is Nigerian Environmental Standard Regulatory Agency. NESRIA. Hello. There's a national document that they are asking us to put on. They call it extended producer responsibility. In other words, when you buy this one now. This thing is made here in Jos, Swan Water. Now, they want all factories, all companies that produce plastics like this to have an extended responsibility for if it's bought. The responsibility of the factory that produces it, Swan, should not end at the level of just production. It should be concerned with how it is thrown away. You understand? So there's a policies that are put in place for that. They call it a circular economy. So it is recycled. Eh? Now, those documents, these same young people, we got them to make a connection. We have these same young people on that group in Yola like that. Yola, not in Nigeria. Are you following me? Using this same approach. I'm going to Yola on Monday. Using this same approach to influence Adamawa State along a path. Which path? Is the fact that, okay, we have problem with jobs. How can we get government to support something that addresses jobs? Because there's a problem of insecurity and jobs and all that in Northeast. How can we address this thing? Let us create the jobs. Since there's no job in government, let's help them create the jobs. How do we create the jobs? They then worked on using plastics like this to create products from building bricks for houses. Hello? Building interlock tires, building everything. Are you following what I'm saying? And then creating a social enterprise around it. And getting government to back those things. To create more jobs. Now, that does not require that you carry placard. It requires that you just teach the people what they want to know and support them to just to deliver it and shift government's attention to those things you want them to do. And where you want society to move in every path to address an issue. As I'm speaking to you today now, if you know who knows Yola, there's this Boss Mustafa Way Road. Yeah. If you go there, there's one organization called Yola Renewal Foundation. Yes. So that's the kind of thing they're working on. All the machines will be installed they're coming from China in February. It was because they were doing that the Norwegian government became interested. They were doing actions and putting it online. And we supported them to make a connection. Some of those young people have not, they just amazed. Because we told them when we started the work, look, just be a little bit patient. You will come to a place of power to be a voice, an influence here in this place by an approach that will make you enter the systems. Because this system is corrupt across the nation. To enter it cannot be by force. We have to use, how do we engage to get them and get attention to these issues? So those are the kind of very silent approaches. All of us here have been cooking with, even if you're not cooking, your mother will cooking with salt. Salt. Hello, salt. Salt has lost salt this. Now, if you're cooking in a pot of soup, you don't need a bag of salt to prove a point that the soup will be good. No, you don't need it. You don't need it. Because you work by catalyzing small ones, right? You have a pot here of something. You put small salt inside. And when the salt enters there, hello? Since my 61 years on earth, I've never seen where somebody put salt inside the pot, and the pot and the soup shout, aha! The salt will shout, I'm here now. I'm going to change the system now. Does salt talk like that? No. It does what? It quietly enters the system and begins to worship it. That is something that Nigerian advocates still do not understand. There is so much noise. No, it's true. I just say, God, I just tired. So much noise. See, if you have an enemy here and you say, I'm coming to do something to you, he's going to prepare, right? No. But when you don't tell him anything, you are arranging the things very carefully. You are going to deal with him. He will not even know when he's brought into the circle. Now, that is salt. The smooth operating way salt works. Look, snakes. You know that snakes are one of those animals that will hate more than anything on this earth. If it is by our hatred for snakes, they would have left this earth for us. These human beings want to kill us. Let's just leave earth for them. But did they do that? Instead, they are multiplying. Why? They are multiplying because they operate very smoothly. Snakes, they'll be here, but you can never hear them, their voices here. Are you following what I'm saying? That is how we should be operating, as advocates that have understanding in the corrupt society we live. To know that, look, we need to look at the system. In the mapping of this system, politics, economy, social, we're going to show you all those practical things later, not now, maybe next one. Practically, we do a mapping of the systems, 7 systems that shape a society. We call it specs: social, political, economic, environmental, political, cultural, and spiritual. Those 7 mountains are 7 things. When you look at them, how can we get, who controls them? Where are the centers of power in each of them? How can we shape thinking in this particular place without shooting a bullet, without being violent? And that is how it works. Believe me, I can go on and on, give you several examples. How of the practical things and ways that we have entered the system and shaped it from inside. And shaped it from inside. Are you following what I'm saying? So, and you can do that. It's not something that is rocket science. You have the capacity to do that. But you have to, that capacity, by the grace of God, it will be built. It will be built by Isha is leading a campaign to build that capacity so that you will build the capacity of others within your space and the state where you are allocated. And together, you will shift things. It's not like, I believe that when we went to Yola, I told them that, look, we were trying to do something like that. I'm sure a lot of those young people, they were saying, they were just looking at us, oh goodness. There were 50 young people. When we started, 50 young people. See, look, be very patient. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Something will happen now. Of course, many of them, eventually, I don't blame them. Some of them, they have major challenges, maybe even transport to come to the place. They reduced to 20. Hello? 20. Now, with that 20, we're moving. By the time the Norwegian government poured in the resources like that, those other 30 wanted to come back. We say, no, we can't come back. You can't come back. You can't come back. What are you coming to do? Because when the thing was being tested, you were not there. So you just say away. Now, but what I'm saying is this. Systems are built by people, not by angels. And you are those people who will build the system here in our nation by God's grace. I'm telling you. Now, me, I'm not a motivational speaker. I will tell you some things that you say, oh, no. We'll tell you practically what can happen if we follow this path. And that's what we have tested before and tried and seen it work. Now, so look at this one. I'll soon round up. Go ahead. No, go ahead. You go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, Sophia. No, go back there. You see? Can you see this model? Yeah? You see this model, this architectural model. So those are young people who are here that did something like this. What is this? What they are trying to do here is that they came up with the concept of, okay, let's connect innovations, job, and policy in the state. It's okay. How can we build a space where we have, in this state, where we have young people lead within a space, create innovations within a particular space, like land, like this whole of this place. You have booths like that. These things are made with, all the buildings there are made with shipping containers. You know, in Qatar today, we have this stadium that's built with 974 shipping containers, right? 974 stadium in Qatar, shipping containers. So they came up with this project, which they've been working on and trying to get support for, which has not really worked. But just last week, to show you what happened, what can happen. And the whole idea is that we want to provide a space where young people in Plateau can have the jobs, can innovate, and can influence policy. It's a policy space within our state, without combat. So there's a university in the US called Duke University, the Duke University. They came up with a call last month or so, for a submission on innovation that relates to jobs, policy, and other issues for young people. Are you following what I'm saying? Now, the leader of this group put it up for as a submission. As I'm speaking to you now, what happened was that they succeeded in, they got this panel to look, the panel called them for interview. They went and discussed. Eventually, they gave the leader of the group who made submission, is a fellow of that university in the US. He's a fellow of Duke University in the US. He's going to the US in January for a residency program to begin to shift discussions around those things. Now, so just move ahead. I'm rounding up now. Just be a little bit patient. Be a little bit patient. Now, just go ahead. Let me move at one of the last things I want to emphasize, and then to prepare your mind for the practical sessions of capacity building that will then hand over. There are manuals and tools we'll give you. There are many. I feel like we're at the second stage of it. Many of the manuals and tools, manuals are available. Now go ahead. No, go ahead. Go to the slide. Go ahead. This is Yola. All the plastic in time is good. Okay, now stop here. Let's look at these strategies, which we are going to break down when we come to that practical engagement at the next phase of capacity building. The activities for leading advocacy for peace building. Now, you have an ecosystem here. You have to build an alternative social agenda for Nigeria. Yeah? So, we have something that we call social domains. Social domains, you have the thing around the politics, economy, and all those things. The seven politics, economy, culture, and all the things that go there. Interacting with the systems and structures and services that will be delivered through programming, and the principles and practices that underlie it. The shift agenda for now. But can you just flip through? There's one particular set I want to go to that says practical. Go ahead. Good. Stop here. Now, when we come to the next time, we come by God's grace to the next stage. We're going to build a framework from top to bottom. No matter the state, whether it's a state or local government, are you following me? So you can see how it's done. It's not rocket science. It's a process. We will follow it and deliver it. So when you go back, you then do. Now, the first thing will be that you have this vision for peace and social justice if it's a village or a community or a nation. You have to have it. What is the vision for peace and social justice? It has to be defined. Hello? It has to be defined. Now, when we are trying to define that, you look at all the issues that are challenges and you try to define the problem that ensures that there's no peace and social justice in that place. Are you following me? Because if you don't define it, you will not be able to get engagements that will work. So the definition of the problem that contributes to ensuring that this place is not peaceful, you have a negative vision. Now, we'll then go on from there. We'll then develop the goals, specific goals to address, to bring about the part of peace and social justice in the place you want to do, your goals that you need to pursue. Because you cannot be pursuing different things. Your goals are tied to an understanding of the problems. Are you following me? When you define this problem, you can then see clear, okay, this is how the problem is defined. But you see, people do not go through a process like this. They just I want to bring change in this community by bringing something that I call water. They just go ahead and let me just do something and do something. No. You need to sit down and do a reflection. What is the vision for this thing I want to see? A vision is just a mental picture of what I want to see. An opposite of the broken state that is available now. What is the vision? If I ask you now, what's the vision for peace in your own community or your state? What's your vision for peace? Yeah, you understand? They will show you how to structure it and to put it in a very simple Simple statement. No, put it back. Put this thing back. Put that slide back. Yes. Now, then we develop from these goals. How can we achieve the goal? These strategies that we're going to develop. This methods. The method to engage like this. The method to do this one. If there's resistance here, how do we? Are you following me? Strategies. Then you move on to the key objectives that have time frames, everything that is fixed. You know when, where, how. You understand those things. I mean, the time, you can time it so that you know that by next year, this November next year, we would have delivered so and so by following this strategy. By following this, you understand what I'm saying? So it makes it easy to measure success. You don't say that like Nigerians do. So okay, how was your advocacy engagement? They'll tell you that we try. That's not trying. How do you try? So, but unless you go through defining your objectives concretely and the activities and drawing an action plan that you have to implement, you will just be beating about like that and doing random activities that you cannot evaluate. And then you'll be exhausted in the end because you see that we did not quite achieve what we wanted to do. But if you follow a path, you can learn lessons. Why did this thing not work? Are you following me? Now, this youth group that we try to speak to get outside to follow a path of influencing. We said we were going to target 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. But let me tell you, we went to Jos, to start from Jos, it worked. Hello? We went to Yola, it worked. We went to Kaduna, it didn't hold, it didn't work. Why? We got to understand, and that's why the lesson, when you follow a path, you know the lessons they're supposed to learn. We got to understand that the path we took for entry and for recruiting the people that we wanted, it was the wrong path. That recruited the wrong people. Not everybody will be attracted. So, but the people who recruited for us, recruited the young people who were not supposed to be part of the group. Are you following me? So, of course, you can't stand. We went to Ibadan from Southwest. It did not stand also because we went through an existing platform of a movement. I don't want to call the name now. The movement did not help matters. So that group also there did not hold. We went to Enugu. Learning lessons now. We went to Enugu. In Enugu, same kind of thing happened. We got somebody who was going to coordinate that effort. He also did not play the role. We were just paying him for nothing. He didn't do his part. Now, so we came back and did a reflection. We understood the lessons. So okay, this is how this thing works. Now, we then send the people who have trained before. You go and start up this group. What we'll do is to support you. We'll support your transportation, support your feeding as you're going to this city. Go and catalyze a group like this. And that works. Because one, they're young people themselves. They are peers. They can discuss. Not like an old man like me again. They can connect. And it's a path. So what I'm saying is this. As I try to round up now. I really cannot wait to take you through an entire framework building for advocacy engagements. Framework. And then to move from there to give you, I cannot give you the hard copy. I will have all the e-copies of the manuals. All the e-copies of the manuals we can give you. But I have the manuals now. If I give you the e-copies of the manual, it will not benefit you. You know why? Because you're going to do practically certain things that you need to do practically. So you understand how we build it, practical case studies with you guys here who are here. If you're from Adamawa State or from whatever state, so can you work with this particular group? Come up with this one for this particular state. Let's see. Then we'll do a peer review. Are you following what I'm saying? You do a peer review and look at the thing practically. Now, I'm going to stop here. I will stop here because I know that it has not ended yet. Other people are coming on this program, make a contribution, and then we'll go to the other side of it, which is the second part of building those frameworks. You can build it not only for your state. See, when we were also taught how to build the frameworks. I have built frameworks for ECOWAS. You can once you have those the capacities, you can use it anywhere beyond just you understand, beyond the community. That's what I'm saying. So, but beyond that, the important thing is the fact that it enables you with power with others to shift society to the place where you intend that it will go, under God. So thank you very much, and enjoy your evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ben Osawe. I'm very, very sure that we have benefited a lot today. If you've not learned anything, let me see your hand, just so we know. Okay, let me ask differently. If you have learned something important, can I just see your hand? Okay, so I am grateful. I am glad that we've not wasted our time. I must say thank you very much for agreeing to come share these things with us. Let me say that we conceptualize this program just to give an overview of what is going to happen in the days to come. So this program, as you would notice, is just giving us snippets, a kind of peep into what peace building and social justice is. And we've heard again and again why history is important. So we began this morning with historical roots of social injustices in Nigeria. And you would notice how Professor Traki struggled with time. So some things he must have said might not sit well, or the understanding of him might not be full because he did not unpack it. I sat here and as I listened, it appears as if he's being biased religiously. But I know that he is not like that. It's just because there is no time to unpack that. Now, you say what? Okay, okay. The notes are already with you. The notes are already with you from Professor Yusuf Traki. It's in the WhatsApp platform. You can study it. And then we have Ben Osawe touch on two subjects, global insecurities from global perspective. And he painted a picture for us to understand where we are. And seated here, you are hearing what is going on in our nation. Why are we like this? And I'm like, goodness, we shouldn't be here. We have no business being where we are, especially when the statistics are before us. Statistics don't lie, you know? And right now, he just finished taking us through the importance of advocacy in peace building and social justice. Let me say before Sam comes up, we are not going to take time. I already canceled one of the things we are going to do this evening, which is peace building, so that those who live within Jos would be able to leave this place before 6 p.m., before the ban on KK begins. But if you are able to stay until after dinner, that would be excellent. Let me say that I am looking for reformers. I am looking for national reformers. I'm not a half-baked person. I'm an advocate for social justice. I'm an advocate for New Nigeria. I don't have threshold for people who are not serious and people who are not sincere. I have lived and committed 20 years of my life believing that Nigeria will work. And my strength is not about to win. I am the executive director of International Organization for Peace Building and Social Justice, PSJ. Maybe many of you are here, you didn't know that I am the one playing that role. I never wanted to say it, but I must open my heart bare for you to see. If you are not called to this path, if you are not going to commit to this, do not waste your time and do not waste my time. Let's not waste each other's time. The task before us is a tax. It's assiduous, it's a task to be done, and half-baked people cannot do that. We are looking for national reformers, people who can commit their lives to a cause, with or without remuneration. I have lived these years, my nephew, my son is here. I have no business living the way I'm living. I commit every dime, God is my witness. I'm not lying to you. I have no reason to lie to you because I'm not afraid of anyone here. I commit every resource I have, including my health, to this task because I know Nigeria can work. I'm doing it for posterity. I'm doing it for my children. I'm doing it for our unborn children. We can rise. There are nations that have been worse than Nigeria in history, but today they are rising. We have no business being where we are, but it will take people who are clear-headed, youth who can commit their energy to this cause. The promise I can make for you is that God helping me, and so help me God, I will do everything, and he has said it already. I wanted to let this out tomorrow. This is just a stimulant. But for those who will commit to the things that we are going to outline by the end of tomorrow, we will call you again and begin to train ourselves so that we can replicate and multiply, so that everywhere in Nigeria we will have young people who are clamoring for change. We want national reformers to arise, and we can do it, friends. Let me give you the motivation. What keeps me going is either way is death. Whether you commit your life to it or not, you are going to die. So why not commit your life to a cause? I've traveled in the night and in the daytime, in the rain and in the heat. I've traveled every part of this country. But thanks to my wife who supports me. No woman can do that. You don't want to know how many times I was in a jungle with people with guns surrounding me because I was negotiating for a freedom. My name is Ishaya Inua. I beg you, if you don't want to commit, do not waste my time. I'm not looking for sentiments. I'm not looking I'm not about to pamper people. And this will take me to the next thing. I watch with disgust while I celebrate you taking time and effort, and I know it's a token that you are committed to this. I watch how you travel from as far as Lagos and Borno and different parts of the country to be here. It shows sacrifice, it shows commitment. And I'm grateful for that. But you see, we need to commit to the reason why we are here. I can't be going to rooms knocking at 3 o'clock for people to resume time at 3. Because you begin to tell a people when they cannot commit to simple thing as time. And I watch, and I keep watching. I'm trying to call us to a place of taking responsibility. Number 2, by the time we are done with this program, we should have no business littering this ground with plastics of water and sachets. When you take your water, when you eat, do not throw the plastics. Put it in a trash. That is how you take responsibility. You don't sit in my car and eat something and throw it on the street. You don't do that. I will drop you. Nigeria is my father's land. I want to take care of it. So I have to keep reminding myself. And I'm calling for people, I'm inviting people who will like to do same. So I'm inviting you to partner with us, to commit together with us in this journey. Is that okay? I love you all, to be honest. So because you are here, I love you. And some of you would have noticed that I play, and you'll notice that I talk, I interact with people. But that's the same way I fight, and I'm not afraid to fight. And when I fight you, it's not personal, it's because I love you. It won't be a problem if you say, I'm not going to do this. We will still connect and do things together. But let's just know that if this is what you want to do. Is that okay? Thank you very much for being here. Sam, over to you. Thank you very much.
Earlier, I introduced him as Ishaya Inua. I didn't want to call him the ED, but since he has done that, thank you very much, sir, for your time. We will continue with the introduction. just 30 minutes, so we go rest. We go to our rooms and rest, then we come out for dinner. Please, let's, the mic, please, second mic. I think we are on this row. Is there anybody here that has not introduced himself? From this road. Okay, is this side, please? You can start from behind. Just start from behind. You can go on, please. The mic is. Okay, you're welcome. So, then use this.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Comrade. My name is Martha Solomon from Plateau.
I am Gata Moses from Plateau State.
And by name Nuhu Bitrusanga from Plateau State.
I'm Ibrahim Isa Muhammad from Sokoto State.
Good evening all. My name is Muplang Zumtu from Plateau State.
Good evening all. My name is Adago Christian from Benue State.
I'm Saint Charles from Abuja.
Atutu Patrick from Lagos.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Timothy Dusu Sunday from Plateau State.
Good evening, all. Sidi Auta from Bauchi State.
Good evening, all. I'm Mary Donladi from Nasarawa State.
I'm Linda Paul from Borno.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Noura Ubakar. I'm from Bauchi State, but I live here in Jos.
Good evening, all. I'm Amina Isaac Ibrahim, Kwara State.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nafisa Abdulaziz from Jos.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Onyama Uchi from Imo State.
My name is Elias Vivian from Ebonyi State.
Good evening, all. My name is Umar Philip from Yobe State.
Akinola Fumilola from Yobe State.
Good evening, all. Biniat Immaculate from Kaduna State.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Armstrong Bizita Wasi from Plateau State.
Good evening, all. Ugochukwu Water from Abia State.
Good evening, all. Benjamin Onyeka from Enugu State.
Good evening, all. Chinguba David from Imo State.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Steve Ekene from Ebonyi State.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Awash Matu. I'm from Benue, but I reside in Plateau.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kenny Ayodele. I'm from Ogun State, but I reside in Jos.
Good evening, all. My name is George Ayuba Nehemiah. I'm from Kaduna State, but I reside in Jos.
Oh, good evening, all. I'm Banem Sada Jimo from Kogi State.
Good evening, all. I'm Fatima Adwal State.
I'm Sophia Basil from Akwa Ibom State.
Good evening, everybody. David Sidon State, Akwa Ibom State.
Good evening, all. I'm Augustine Omomize from Edo State.
Good afternoon. Comrade Michael Libanga is my name. I'm from Ikodegbene, local government area, Akwa Ibom State.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cliff Stanley, but I reside in Gombe. My name is Cliff Stanley. I'm from Adamawa State, but I reside in Gombe.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Pride of Sahel, Yobe State in specific, I'm Ibrahim Audu, a bona fide of Pune local government.
Good evening, all. My name is Chinezim Iruke Felix. I'm from Abia State, but I reside in Taraba State. My name is Chinezim Iruke. I'm from Abia State. I reside in Taraba State.
Okay, you're all welcome to. Okay.
Otafu Victor. Otafu Victor. Based in Jos.
Okay. It's good to laugh, and want to welcome all of you to Jos Plateau State. The reason for this summit, this conference, is not just to come and then sit together, hear the speakers, and return back to our individual states. One of the reasons why we are here is to pick people who are intentional about the growth of their society, community, and then the nation. So reach out to individuals, bring in all here to discuss the future of our nation. The ED just spoke now. He said there are a lot we have not opened to you people. Then let me just flow on what he said. We know we called 2 from PSJ. We have 2 delegates from East State. And then ICON also sending 2 delegates from East State. ICON is International Community on Nigeria. And then we have PSJ, International Organization on Peace Building and Social Justice. Now, we are putting hands together to see how we can build a future a future that we can deliver to our children, the next generation, that they will have a peaceful coexistence within themselves. We can see what is happening in Nigeria today. The first speaker, Professor Turaki, spoke about it, whether I'm a Christian, a Muslim, but when it comes to election and other things, I will have to choose my own ethnicity before any other person. And this is causing more harm to Nigeria than good. So we have to build, now we have from every state we have local governments. So you that are coming, we coordinate the state. Your local government, we have people, and then PSJ will come, we'll train them. Ben Osawe spoke about it. The intensive training for the peace building. From there, we'll start building the new nation. Let me tell you the truth. Among our leaders that we have today, none of them can give us the Nigeria we want, because they are part of it. All of them that are contesting for election now, they are all contemporaries. If there's anything they can do, they should have done it before now. And this is our time. This is our generation. We're discussing with some leaders, comrades yesterday. We're talking about, we were analyzing our age. And when we analyzed our age, we discovered that some of us were older than Gowon when he was the head of state. So what are we doing? They have turned us to the highest anyone in our generation can get when you support them is SA, youth and students, SA, new media, SA, PA, and they empower us with the little, they empower us with the little token they can give us so that we can sew kaftans, go around town, tell people that we are part of the government. But we are changing the narrative here. The new Nigeria we seek, the future we want to bet, is starting from this summit. And we believe that each one of us will engage. If we don't engage, then we can't have that peace we're looking for. But we believe that there will be one Nigeria. Please, we have to cut out the discussion section. Many people arrived today. Some arrived today, this morning, and those that came in yesterday are still tired, and we needed to rest. Instead of the team, we'll do those things, we'll do it tomorrow. So let's have this time. If there's any discussion, anybody wants to say anything, we just have, I think, we just have about 10 minutes to leave here so we can go rest. Is there anybody that have anything? Thank you. Please, you can come up.
Thank you. As a people, a young people who are intentional about the change we desire in Nigeria, I want to bring to your notice about a certain engagement I had with an elderly man who to me was like a role model, yeah. And so, but at that tender age of mine, he told me that most of the history we are born to inherit, that most of them are wrong history. I wish I had this opportunity to ask this question, not in this fora, but in a larger fora where we can probably engage the elite. Because the man pointed at one of the Chinua Achebe's work. He said that the history was one-sided. And I was almost convinced. Yeah, because I was just a young boy who was just leaving secondary school. And I began to ask myself, if he's the one telling me that this story was a wrong history or something, so how then do we get the right history? Are you getting my point? How then do we get the right history? Is it because you might end up meeting another person who has sympathy for the Yorubas, for instance? I'm not trying to bring in any segregation here. And the person will wake up and tell you that it is the Oduduwas who are the original owners of Nigeria. And you meet the other person up there and he will tell you that they are the real owners of Nigeria. And so how do we resolve this particular conflict? You see, this one is left for us to talk about it and think how to move from where we are, where the people we depend on to get the truth are lying to us. And so please, I need us to be very intentional about this thing. And being intentional is about being sincere. If it has to do with living what we know will not help us, let's chart a new course. Let's see how to move from where we are to where we ought to be. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Comrade Mike Ibaga from South South. We'll have Comrade Abba Wacho from North Central. Quickly, please.
Thank you very much. We don't to speak English, we could speak pidgin small. The truth be said, the country is no good. Yes. No be where we want. Make the country day. Nahimi day. Truth is better spoken in the language of those you are telling. Hi. No be English. Because if we are going to carry out advocacy at our localities, we must domesticate our message. As brilliant, schooled, intelligent, exposed as we are, it will be immaterial if we are not able to communicate properly what we want the people to hear. And that is why I said the country is no good. Having said that, I carefully studied everybody here, and I discovered one thing. There is nothing that unites a people like hunger. Hello? Hello? And the easiest way to have a people react against status quo is to starve them. Unfortunately for the elitistic class, they have done that unconsciously and has armed us with a weapon of hunger. And it is time to do what? Change the narrative, not through the barrels of the gun, but with our heads. Do not forget, in the words of Fidel Castro, no regiment of army in the world can stop an idea whose time has come. This idea of changing Nigeria, the vehicle was delayed at Bini or a road, but we took mechanic of young men there to fix it, so it has arrived. The idea is here now. God bless you. Let's give in ourselves.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're taking the last two discussion before we go to rest. We'll have Comrade I Charles speaking on behalf of the Southeast people. Please come up. Then the last will be Comrade Cleve from the North, please. Definitely, we'll have someone that will pick. So, is there any lady, please, that wants to say? Comrade Ma, are we together?
Good evening, all. My names are Iheme William Charles. I'm no longer a comrade. We've no. I've 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 resigned. Oh yeah, now, no wahala, no wahala. I'm from Imo State, from a local government called Okigwe, but I'm raised in this town, in this state. The only thing I want to add to all of these things is that yes, we are young people. We all know. We came from different places. Today we are in the city of Jos, Plateau State. That is to say, we've gone to places. You know, if I go to my village and begin to tell my people what how the northern people behave, they don't know. They would think after River Benue, you're all Hausa people. That is it. They don't even know much of Fulani, Kanuri, your Idoma, your Tiv. They all think you're Hausa people. Then, as it is, we are coming from a civilization, because how we do things in the south is not how you do things in the north. It's not just the same. But if you don't understand, you will begin to have issues with one another. So we are doing this thing where we convinced ourselves that the north has a civilization, the south has a civilization. And as young people who know this and also know the other way, the best you can be is a bridge of cohesion. That is all. Where when your people are saying this is how these people do, this is what you hate about, you tell them no, it's not like that. This is how they were born. This is what they know. This is how they do. Then you begin to, tell them the beauty in what we all inherited, okay? Then it is on that note that, you see, when I look at ourselves, then you see young people still, maybe as election is coming, you're voting this man because he's an Igbo man, or he's a Yoruba man, or he's a Fulani man. If you're still in that category, you just upgrade yourself because you're behind. You're far behind. At this point, is it Tinubu that paid your transport to come here? Is it Atiku? Is it P2B? Are they the ones that will take you back? My brother said it now. They've all been given opportunities. Though. Forget, maybe one might bring something different from others, but they're all the same as far as we are concerned. Yes. No, forget it. We have been given opportunities. I'm saying it to say the only change we have today is me and you. And if that is true, then we have to stick to each other. We have to think of business. We have to think of economy. We have to think of, okay, in my place, what do they lack? And what do you have? How do you give to my people? How do they give to you? Then we coexist. So at this point in time, I'm one of your hosts, so I welcome you to City of Plateau State, Jos. And I will conclude by saying that the way we came in is not the same way we'll go back. We'll go back loaded to do positive things. All right.
Thank you very much, retired comrade I.I. Charles. Please please Cliff, can you just come up quickly? But we don't have time. Just speak briefly so we can.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to welcome everybody that came for this summit. It's not easy. My joy is that I thought if I come, I'm going to see people from the northern part of this country, and I feel as if it's lopsided as far as the name concerned, but I'm very happy that I saw an international name, and I've seen virtually almost all the 36 states. What we just had this morning is a seat. And we know how powerful a seat is. Then definitely all of us at the end of this summit, we know that when we are going back, we are going to make sure that that seed on a good ground can germinate and give bountiful harvest. What do I mean? All of us are from different backgrounds, different organizations, and probably different political background. What I want us to understand, not about people saying even the parties and others, how many of us can beat their chest that they are in political party? You can never hold a position of power if you are not in political party. There are so many political parties you can join. And if you don't have your PVC, there's no how you can be able to make changes in this country. And at the same time, if you don't develop these things that we're seeing, because probably some people felt that probably I've never come to the north. Okay, I'm in the south, let me come to the north and find out what is happening in the north. But if you are going to take some of these things, even if it means talking to 5 or 6 people, even if it means talking to people in your church, in your mosques, in your community, in your schools, these are how you're going to spread this message. That's why I say in the first place, this is seed. And if by the time you understand the power of seed, and you'll be able to work with that principle, at the end of it, you look at your life and be very happy. There are some of us that will not hold a position of power. When Mr. Inua is talking, he does not hold a position of power. But I believe you, so many leaders in their state cannot boast of what he has done by bringing out all these people from different states. They cannot. I can comfortably tell you a commissioner will not, or a permanent secretary will not beat the state that you're going to organize something and people from 36 states will come. So I'm very excited to be here. I've been speaking with somebody, I have not met him. We only spoke on phone. Some of the guys I spoke with here because of this conference are people that for the past so many years have left Akwa Ibom, and I'm very happy I'm meeting some of them. For those on the plateau, my mom is from Plateau, so anytime I'm in Plateau State, it does not give me any doubt because I still have friends and I know what they are doing. So as we enjoy this summit, please, we should concentrate and make sure that we get a better seat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cliff. We all will have time to discuss with ourselves, share ideologies, culture, our cultural backgrounds. One thing is, I'm an Idoma man. I was discussing with a friend yesterday. I said, the leaders we have actually said I'm a northerner, no problem. But I checked by our women, they do tie two wrappers. And when you come to the north, when they want to go to their meetings, I guess it's just one wrapper and then they cover themselves. And when you go down to the east and the south, you see that their women also are tying what? Two wrappers. The name we bear is similar to those in the southeast and then to the south. So you see that there is an error already in Nigeria. And it is done because of what? Political interests. Professor Turaki spoke about it, but we'll unravel all these things tomorrow. We'll discuss, we'll share ideas. It's not all about speakers coming to speak to us. There's no speaker that can speak to us than we that are here. So we'll discuss tomorrow. The thing is, for those in Jos, a quick announcement, please. Because of the sanitation tomorrow, the sanitation starts by, I think, 8, 7. 7 to 10. Okay. If you can find your way before 7, if you can find your way before 7, it will be good. But before, if there's any arrangement we'll make, I'll put it on the platform. Also, if you're in Jos, you want to wait for the dinner, fine. But because of the time, with the bus that is meant to come, there are one or two challenges. So that's why we just have to cut out the group discussion and the team building capacity. So those in Jos can actually reach home. And for any logistics you have spent, be rest assured that tomorrow it will be refunded to you after the program. Those in Jos, please, not those. Thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, those that are lodged here, you can go to your room, rest a little, and then we'll see you at the cafeteria by 7 p.m. for your dinner. Thank you very much. God bless you.